Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about why the no contact rule is so difficult. So I get a lot of questions about the no contact rule, and I thought I would do a video to explain why it's so hard for us to stick to it and to follow through with it. While every single breakup is different because we're dealing with two unique individuals with their own set of experiences, beliefs, ideas, relationships, histories, and the interesting thing is that the pain that we feel during a breakup is universal. And some of us have more difficulty with breakups than others, and a lot of that has to do with our own history and attachment to our caregivers growing up, and whether or not we had a secure attachment or we had attachment trauma. And so the feelings that we're having in the breakup and the symptoms that we're having have a lot to do with our early childhood life. And I know a lot of people don't really understand that, but once you start to see things and see the patterns, it's just incredibly eye-opening and just so insightful. So, one of the things that I want to talk about is I know what it's like to be in your shoes, because that's what prompted me to learn this stuff. I've been in those shoes. I've been absolutely devastated and heartbroken, and for me, my breakups were probably worse than a lot of you guys out there, because I had a lot of anxiety and attachment trauma from my early childhood, and I didn't understand that at the time, and I didn't get it. But fortunately for me, I started going to a really good therapist who helped me understand more and more how relationships work. And it's so critical for you guys to talk about what's going on. That's how we heal, is by talking about things. So don't keep things bottled up. I know that you're going to be tempted to talk with your friends and your family about everything, and you're probably driving them crazy. I did that. I definitely drove everybody nuts, talking and listening and absorbing every little bit of information to try and come up with how to handle it. But just keep in mind that they have very good intentions, but they're going to give a lot of bad advice that could cost you repairing that relationship and fixing it, because very few people out there really know how relationships work and understanding romantic love. I mean, we're just not taught it, unfortunately. That should be one of the major classes we're taught in middle school. So it would just help our lives tremendously to know this stuff, because we really have discovered the answers to love with a lot of the different stuff that I share with you guys. And breakups are included in that. So just be careful about, taking your loved one's advice. And I'm not saying that they don't love you or care about you, but they might inadvertently give you information that pushes your partner away. And I know in my experience, that definitely happened. So let me go ahead and start off with an email that I have here. This is a good email. And let me just go ahead and get into it. It's from Victoria, who says, "Hey Craig, amazing channel. My best friend and I are both going through breakups." Well, that's fun. "We both discovered your channel when we were looking up breakup advice online. I honestly thought you were just going to be this cute guy," well, thank you, "who had nothing but the same stuff as anyone else. After 2 videos, I was absolutely hooked. Your information on anxiety, attachment styles, and attachment trauma blew us away. You're really smart." Well, thank you. I've been called a lot worse than that. "Would it be bad to admit I'm kind of crushing on you? LOL. I'm looking forward to our Skype coaching." All right. There's a little more. She says, "Anyway, I was hoping you could do a video to talk about why no contact is so incredibly hard. My friend has not been able to do it with her ex, and he keeps treating her cold and indifferent. I just started it about 8 days ago, and I feel like I'm dying inside. Every day feels like an eternity. I can't stop thinking about them. I know exactly what you're going through, and I empathize because it really does feel like every moment is just this painful eternity where all you could think about is reuniting with your ex. I know exactly what that's like. It's really hard. And I didn't handle them that well. And that's why I really became passionate about learning this stuff. And, you know, I remember when my ex broke up with me, I mean, I was just devastated. I mean, this one was years ago. And all I could think about was her and missing her, her family, her daughter, who I was extremely attached to. And, you know, I was devastated. And I was just consumed with these preoccupied, intrusive thoughts that I couldn't stop thinking about her. That's all I could think about was replay the relationship. I was bargaining in my mind over and over again. If I had done this, if I had said that, if we had done this, we would still be together. And you just can't stop thinking about that person. And I've been in there. And I remember after our breakup, she contacted me after about 3 days. And just when she called me, I just wanted to just like explode inside. I was just like so like overwhelmed by emotions and feelings and anxiety, and I just wanted to tell her how much I cared about her, and I kind of was like, I miss you so much, I want us to work this out, don't you want to work it out? And of course none of that worked. But, you know, you gotta be careful about vomiting your feelings all over this person. And, you know, I'm going to talk about this for a minute because it's so important that you understand that all of this is that separation anxiety. And we literally feel like we're dying inside. Like somebody, I know that the worst feeling for me was just feel like somebody ripped into my chest and pulled my heart out, and I was just literally just dying. That's what I felt like. I don't know about you guys, but that's what it felt. I felt like I had a giant hole in my chest. And, you know, it's funny because a lot of people say they feel like they're, like, having withdrawals from, like, a drug, like they're a drug addict. And it's kind of true. And the interesting thing is that your brain activity, or when they hook us up to machines and such, that it shows that our brain shows activity in the same areas and regions that are linked with addiction. So, I've done a lot of thinking about this stuff, and I really believe that a breakup is like a survival instinct. And it's like your brain forces you to obsess on finding your loved ones to help you survive and to help you keep your genes to survive. Because if you think about it, if you lose your mate, it decreases the chances of you having offspring. So I think there's like this survival instinct that's going on really deep in there. And other things are going on. Your brain deprives you of oxytocin and dopamine, and then it starts to release stress hormones, cortisol, which is what suppresses appetite, memory, and immune system. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm going through a breakup, my memory is just horrendous, and I just feel like I am like in this complete fog. That's the best way I could describe it. I can't focus, I can't think. I'm just in this fog, and it's just like this endless fog. So you have to understand, our body is also going through these chemical reactions. So, think about it. You have these chemicals being released, and then it starts to trigger our mind and our thoughts and our emotions, and we begin to feel all these waves of separation anxiety, right? It kind of feels like a wave of energy or something going through your body. And the reason that it's so hard to do no contact is because as human beings, we're wired to connect with other people. And our relationship with our caregivers is our primary way of staying safe. So the bonding and the connecting with the loved ones makes you feel safe. So we have this wired into us, and this is like from our birth. And that's why, when infants scream and cry, their parents come take care of them because they're wired to connect. And, as an infant, you know that if they don't come, you're going to die. We're afraid of death. So that's why it really feels like death. Because it would mean death if we lose our caregivers from our early childhood. It's like an implicit memory that we can't verbalize because we don't have the verbal skills at that age to remember it like that. But it's like an implicit memory that happens early on that, especially if you have attachment traumas where your caregivers maybe let you cry to sleep. Because we thought back then that letting a baby cry out was the healthy thing to do. No, now we realize that's like the worst thing you could do. You want to hold your child, your baby, as often as possible in those first 2 to 3 years. You cannot spoil an infant. You cannot spoil somebody in those first 2-3 years' life with love and affection and attention. It's just not how we work. The more you hold them and give them that love and affection, the healthier and the more secure they become, and the more safe they feel with the world. And then they begin to explore more and more into their, as they get older, and they're happier. And there's tons of research to back that if you don't believe me. So, I got another email here that I kind of derailed there, but that's okay. It was good stuff. I got another email here. This one's from Ed, who says, "Hi, Craig. I'm having a really hard time doing no contact. You and everybody else, buddy. I'm afraid that if I don't contact my ex soon, I'm going to lose her. We have been together for 2 years, and she said she's unsure about how she feels about me. I'm only on day 4, and I don't think I can take this. I know my ex likes to go out on the weekends, and I'm afraid she's going to find someone new. I know there are a few guys that like her, and I don't want to lose her. I was thinking about texting her tomorrow and seeing if I could do something nice for her. I thought if I can text her before she goes out, she might think about me and not go after anyone else." I know. I've been in your shoes, and I could tell you that all of your stuff logically seems to be very reasonable. But if you do any of that stuff, you're just going to push her away even further. I know how difficult it is. You need to leave her alone and give her some space. And I can tell in your case that you have a lot of anxiety. So my guess is you've always had a lot of anxiety, and it's just being triggered by the breakup. So you've probably been fairly controlling or manipulative in the relationship, and you need to take an honest look at yourself. But my guess is that you've done a lot of things already to make her feel trapped. And your anxiety is going to try and make you do more things to reach for her, to pull her close, and make her feel even more trapped. So, the problem is more with what's going on with you than it really is about the ex. And I know it's hard to see that, but when your symptoms are so extreme that you are just obsessed and preoccupied, and tons of things like depression, anxiety, you can't sleep, you can't eat, the worse your symptoms are, the more it tells me that you've had an attachment trauma. and you have a lot of early issues from your early childhood, and you didn't feel unconditional love from your caregivers, you didn't feel secure, and you thought growing up unconsciously you believed that you had to do something to please them. And that's what you're trying to do with this girl, right? You're saying, if I do something, it'll make her happy and she'll love me again. So obviously you believed unconsciously as a child, if I do something to make my mom happy, she won't leave me. It's powerful stuff, but you have to take a real look at it. You can't buy someone's love, and that does not equal attraction. Like I said, I know logically you're thinking, if I do something nice for them, it's going to make them want me back. The grand gesture. Doesn't work. It never works. It works in the movie. Okay? But that's about it. Now, I'm glad you came to me, because obviously you're going through a lot of emotions, and it's going to be so good if you signed up with the Skype, so we can talk about things, so you feel so much better by talking about things. As far as getting her back, you need to understand that there's a lot of things going on here, and no contact is only part of it. You need to know what the problem is in your relationship, and in order to fix something, you need to know what the problem is. So you might be able to do no contact and cause their interest to come back, but if you haven't done the work on yourself, if you haven't really invested in figuring out what's going on within you and your own issues with anxiety, or maybe you have an avoidant attachment style, which I don't think you do, but some of you guys out there will have an avoidant attachment style. Most likely a lot of you will have an anxious attachment style. You have to really do the work to look at your early childhood wounds. And I talk about that in a lot of my videos on attachment style, attachment traumas. And obviously when you tell me one-on-one, I can really look at all the different factors. We can talk about your situation, your breakup, your relationship, and figure out a personal plan for you that's going to increase your chances of re-attracting your ex. Because there's a lot of things you could do to turn them off. And for many of you guys, you may only get one other real chance at working it out. So you need to know what went wrong so you can fix it. And that's why I'm here, guys. That's what I'm so passionate about. I love chatting with you guys. I love Skyping with you guys. I love, doing the coachings with you and helping you out. And you're going to see that when you work with me, because I'm always looking for things to better my coaching and to helping you guys out. And that's why I put everything out there for free. But obviously, every situation is different. Every breakup is different. And I look at all those factors when we work together. So, if you want to get my help personally, just go to my website, AskCraig.net, and sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. If you liked the video and you thought it was informative, just put a like on there so I know, and that way I can do more videos about them in the future. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I do post videos Monday through Friday. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.